Let's Talk Real Estate Investing. In this podcast, I bring you insights, experiences, and lessons from real estate investing professionals at all stages of their journey, along with industry experts who provide essential services to you to help you to succeed. Our goal is to empower you with the knowledge and strategies needed to build a personalized real estate investing plan that aligns with your unique goals. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. It helps me to continue to share valuable content with you. My name is Debbie Balfour, and I'm a real estate investing professional and a real estate investing success coach. Real estate investing isn't a one-size-fits-all. Your strategy should be unique as you are. Today's guest is someone I truly admire for his honesty, his hustle, and heart in real estate. Cameron Manning is a Vancouver-based realtor. He's a content creator. He is a podcast host with over 15 years of experience in the industry. He's known for blending straight talk with humor and for being deeply relationship focused in everything he does. In this episode, he's going to break down how investors can become an authority through social media, especially if you're raising capital. Spoiler alert, it's actually easier than you think, and he's going to show you exactly how. Let's welcome Cameron Manning to the show. Cameron, over to you for a bit more of an introduction of who you are and what you do.
Debbie, and thank you again for having me back on the podcast here. Debbie, I truly admire everything that you're doing online, social media, and what you're putting out there as well for the investor community. And yeah, absolutely. So quick introduction, I guess. I've been investing in real estate now, definitely over 15 years. I was thinking about it. I'm like, I'm going on to year 17 now. And for the last about 9 years, I've been really focused on building a presence on social media. And I think that social media is probably one of the best ways that we can build ourselves, whether we're a realtor, an investor, a mortgage broker, anyone in the real estate industry, in order for us to expose ourselves and show ourselves as an authority on the subjects that we're talking about. So I'm really excited to be able to dive a little bit deeper with you and your audience on this aspect. And I know you've been doing a lot of focus on working with investors on raising capital. And I think that this is going to be a great blend together on what we can do to help them actually get out there, show what they know to people, and actually raise more capital and do more deals.
Definitely. And then it doesn't sound like it's only coming from me.
Yeah,
What is she
absolutely.
talking about? Definitely. I really agree with you when it comes to that building your expertise on social media. When it comes to in the corporate world, in the business, in any 9 to 5 job, a lot of people, go to school for like 4 years and then start from the bottom in an organization and have take maybe 5 years before they're recognized as some sort of subject matter expert. But on social media, you can actually build that your credibility and look as an expert by, within 6 months to a year, depending on how much you post and your consistency in that posting. So I'm really excited
Absolutely.
about this topic.
Yeah, for sure. No, absolutely. I think you're bang on. If you want to get out there and you want to start creating content and become an authority leader, all you have to do is turn on a camera and start talking about it. And you get better over time. But eventually, yeah, once you've built that audience up, you absolutely will be shown as an authority on the subject when you've got enough content under your belt.
So why do you think social media has become such an important tool for investors who are trying to raise capital?
Great question. I mean, at the end of the day, it goes back to a philosophy of someone that I follow quite religiously called Gary Vaynerchuk. And if you haven't followed Gary yet, if you're watching this, go check him out. But the premise that he talks about is called day trading attention. At the end of the day, right now, we got to go where people's attention is. And it's on social media. If you just look around you, let's say you go to a restaurant, you are going to a subway station or anywhere, people are always just looking down at their phone now, right? I mean, as much as we can say, that's not good, which, yeah, okay, maybe we're not connecting with the world. It's the reality of what it is. So if we want to make sure that we are catching that attention, we need to day trade that attention. And by making content and putting it where people's eyes are, we have a greater chance of actually converting or actually engaging with a community versus the old methods that were there before. I mean, I remember when I got started as an investor, when you wanted to raise capital, It was 100% cold calls, relationship based, finding every person you ever met and trying to convince them that, hey, I know what I'm talking about. This is the deal we're trying to do. Would you like to invest with me? It was a lot harder back then because we didn't have this aspect. Now, if we're day trading attention, we have a much broader audience that we could build that community from and potentially raise more wealth of more people around us.
Definitely. When we were trying to do it just in person and over the phone, it was so hard to connect the dots as to your credibility. What have you done so far? You don't have enough time with people to explain all of that.
Mhm.
But social media
Absolutely.
keeps that whole history if you do it right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So for someone who's, never really posted before, what would you advise is the simplest way to start showing up online without feeling awkward, overwhelmed, scared?
For sure. No, I mean, hey, that's a great question. And at the end of the day, I think that the best content I've ever seen with people is the ones where they're awkward. It is the ones where they don't know what they're doing. Should I be moving my hands a certain way? Which way do I look? Right. And that's part of the journey of getting better. Like anything, like you don't start doing 100 push-ups by, not doing push-ups, right? You go say, okay, today I'm doing 100 push-ups and you just go at it, you're going to die after 10, 15, right? And then you're going to say, oh, this doesn't work. It starts by putting in the reps. So, one of the strategies that I talk a lot about when I teach social media, whether it's at my brokerage that I work at or when I'm just talking to people in general, is leverage stories, right? Almost every single platform right now, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, even all have some sort of a stories mechanism. And the best part about stories is that it disappears after 24 hours. So even if it's embarrassing, it's gone, and only a small percentage of your followers are actually going to watch it. But you're going to start to build that strength up of talking on camera by putting it in your face, talking for 15, 20, 30 seconds, posting it, and then moving on, right? And that's how I built my skills, was originally through Snapchat. This is before most other apps had some sort of a stories function, right? Instagram took stories because of Snapchat. They tried to buy Snapchat. Snapchat said no. So they said, okay, we're going to copy them. We're going to create stories. Then they put it across their other platforms such as Facebook. You've got stories on WhatsApp, Messenger, and then obviously TikTok added that. At one point in time, even LinkedIn was experimenting with stories at one point, and that all came from Snapchat. So I had a coach about 10 years ago who said, Cameron, you need to start doing video. And he goes, start doing Snapchat. So Snapchat wasn't an easy one to grow because it was hard for people to find you. You had to kind of know people to be able to follow them. But I just started making stories. I just started showing what I was doing every single day. Essentially, as another, going back to Gary Vaynerchuk, he says to document your journey. Just start showing what you're doing. If you're analyzing a property, just quickly talk about it. Hey guys, I'm just looking at this property right now. It's here in Maple Ridge. I like it because it's got a suite in the basement. It's a 3 up, 2 down. This is what I'm thinking for rent. Based on my analysis, I think it'll cash flow for X. You're just starting to put out some of that content, that thought leadership, gaining your comfort level on camera. And then obviously you start layering in, okay, now I'm going to take this one video and I'm going to post it. Then I'm going to try to get a little better at maybe how I speak. You're going to analyze what you've done. But it all starts with that first action. Just start on stories.
And if you do like it, if you're doing stories on Instagram, there is a way to save those stories for the
That's
ones that you
correct.
like. So you can,
Absolutely.
categorize it, and so you can save those ones if you like them. And if
And,
you
and you
don't,
know,
like you said, it's gone.
And the funny thing is, actually, there has been a couple times where I've posted a story and I go, I actually really think that could turn into a good post. So yeah, you do save it and then you turn that into an Instagram reel
Real.
or a
Mhm.
Facebook reel or something. So yeah, you can absolutely repurpose it if you've built that skill for sure.
Yeah. I honestly think that's the hardest part, is getting comfortable in front of a camera. Because
Hmm.
I could speak to like 300 people audience and be fine. But
Totally.
I am so awkward. Well, I was. I've gotten better now because I started doing a lot of Facebook Lives. But at
Yes.
first, I would be so awkward
Hmm.
in front of the camera. I'm still awkward when it comes to recording content, to be honest. I record and re-record and, things like that. But when it comes to stories, it's you, it's real. When someone meets you, that's the person that they're going to meet anyway. So Be yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point as well, like, even though I've been doing this now for about 10 years on social media, I still will screw up, re-record, like when like I don't think you'll ever get rid of that. And I think that's the biggest problem is that when you're getting into this, you're looking at other people's content from the eyes of it's a fully edited, done piece of content and it looks fantastic. But you don't see how many takes it took that person to make that piece of content. You don't see how often they stumbled over their words or how much editing they had to do to edit out. I just did one of my podcasts recently, and it was only a 7 or 8 minute episode, but it took me 35 minutes. Like I had to cut out 35 minutes because for me, I just roll the camera. And if I stumble, I'll just take a second, then try to say the sentence again. But I have to edit out all of that extra content. So I'm knocking out 25 minutes nearly of content out of a podcast to give you guys 10 minutes of really good content, right?
Yeah.
So, it is definitely a fear that everyone has that "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing." That's okay. Do it anyways. When you first got your first job, you had no idea what you were going into, but you learned it. You figured it out. You went and got help from people, such as watching this podcast right now is a way that you are gaining knowledge and you're building your own skills, right? So it's the same thing. Just start. That's all I can say is like it's you there's no magic formula besides turn the camera on and start talking at it. And then eventually you'll get better. And here's another just on that topic alone. One of the best things I saw recently is think about when you're recording, think about like you're on FaceTime. Even though there's no one on the other end, you're just having a conversation with somebody, which at the end of the day, that somebody could be 5, 6, 10, 15, 1,500 people that end up seeing it. But this was honestly, I was like, I never thought about it like that. But yeah, have a FaceTime conversation as if you're just giving some advice to someone that you're literally on the other end. And then that's an easy way that you can get over the fear of like, oh, what should I say? Have a conversation.
Yeah, definitely. That's how I approach it now too. But when I'm doing lives, I don't re-listen to it. I just like because of the way if I don't, I'm gonna go criticize everything. I said 300 arms and ahs.
You know,
To me, like on this podcast right now, it's me. It's real me. So
100%.
if I met you in person, that's the person that you're going to meet. I'm not this
Yeah.
polished, perfect speaking person. So I think authentic, everybody is looking for authentic because these days people look at videos. Every time I look at videos, my kids say to me, Mom, I'm sure that's AI. Everybody are like, is that really authentic? Is that really that person? I think that's AI.
Yeah.
When I'm myself and I'm using I'm, saying the likes and the knows and the rights or any of those things that
Yep.
we put as filler words. People know it's me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think in the way that we're going right now with what you said with all the AI stuff, people are actually appreciating more and they're engaging more with the less highly edited content. Like the more I posted a TikTok, this is not even related to, real estate. And it was me just complaining about cell service. I was like, I'm
I
sitting
don't
at an
work
open
for TELUS
house.
anymore, so I'm good.
Well, I'm with Rogers, so I'm going to blast Rogers right now. I was sitting at an open house. So while it does relate in a way, because I did mention, hey, I'm sitting at an open house, I didn't really talk too much about real estate, but it was just raw. I didn't edit it. I just like recorded it and posted it because I was frustrated. The fact that I was in the middle of Surrey, like middle of town, there should be no issue with cell service. And I had one bar and I couldn't even load a basic website or like pull up documents on my phone. And so I quickly recorded it, posted it, and it got like 80,000 views because it was raw. People could connect to it. Not only that, even sometimes when you're posting that content, even though it's not 100% related to your business, the algorithm will pick it up, show it to more people, but you'll still grow an audience because you're showing you are a real human, even though it's not always 100% about real estate and raising capital and deals, right?
Yes, definitely. So you should definitely throw in some of that more human content
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What kinds of content or conversations actually, which kind of goes into what we were talking about.
Hmm.
What actually helps you build that trust with potential partners versus stuff people will just skip over?
Totally. Well, I think at the end of the day, the tough part about social media is the attention span that people have nowadays, right? So education and entertainment content is probably the best that you can do out there. And in the world that we live in right now, if you can combine the two, edutainment, you're going to get more views. And, going to an example of like entertainment content, your son is absolutely crushing it on social media. And his content is extremely entertaining, but it's also educational. For those who haven't checked out Brandon's content, it's all about, how to dress stylish and like, have nice things in your apartment. And he does like all this aesthetic content, but it's very educational. And sometimes just how he cracks jokes, I'm laughing at it. I'm like, he is so good at engaging the audience. And so, from a real estate perspective, it's the same thing. We have the position as investors to do a lot of education out. People are, in the world we live in right now, so many people don't know what their retirement's going to look like going into the future. We can help those people by educating them on what real estate can do. And at the end of the day, it's not about always raising capital. And I think that's something to really preface, even though we talk about you want to use social media to raise capital, you're not always just pitching deals. The more free content, the more education you put out there, the more people are going to trust you as a thought leader. And from there, when they're looking at deals, they're going to go, you know what, it's probably easier if I just invest with so and so. And then the other part of it too that I think is really incredible that people always miss on is documenting their journey. People want to follow you learning as well. So if you're an investor, maybe you've bought your first investment property and now you're thinking about raising capital and starting to go down that path of building a portfolio, document your journey doing it. Hey, I was just on a meeting with an investor, we pitched this project to them. This are the numbers that we were showing them and this was the feedback that I got from them, right? People want to know because you're teaching them still through documenting the journey and you're educating them on what your struggles are. And I think that if we start thinking about that it's all about adding as much value back onto the platforms that we can and people can learn from us, the more we're going to convert long term. The worst content that I see out there, and this goes a lot of just look at me, look at me, look at me because of X, right? There's no real value to it. You're just look at me because I bought this property. And I go, okay, yep, great, swipe. Whereas it's like, this is how much I lost when I rented to this wrong tenant. I mean, that's entertaining and it educates people,
Yeah.
right?
Or yeah, or here are some of the things I had to overcome in order to
Yeah.
get this property.
Yeah.
Or here's the thought process that went into it. And people just
Yeah.
all of a sudden appear out of nowhere and go, "Oh, I've just," they post two things. I've conditionally put this property on, you know, I put a condition on this property and
Yeah.
I've bought this property, but nothing in
Nothing in
between.
between.
Yeah, but, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that you're doing. People say to me all the time, "Well, Debbie, I don't have anything to write about." My goodness, what are your
Well,
struggles every day? What are you like? Why are you doing this? When do you feel like giving up?
and that's where it goes into too with like the world that we live in right now. There's no reason not to have an idea to post now because
Mhm.
through even just technology like artificial intelligence, whether you're using Google Gemini or maybe it's ChatGPT, you can use these tools as a way to prompt your memory, right? And so I know you're doing your massive giveaway in January here, and I know
Mhm.
I'm participating in it. And what we did for investors, and I don't know if you were going to talk about this earlier, but now you kind of brought it up. We designed AI prompt guides to help investors to just use it to generate ideas. And I was showing it to my colleague Kelly Fry, and because she tells me the same thing, she goes, "I just don't know what to talk about." So I said, "Here, I'm gonna use this on you. Tell me what you think of this guide." And she goes, "Lord, why didn't you make this 5 years ago?" And I go, I don't know.
It's funny.
ChatGPT didn't exist, right? And yeah, exactly. And so in that guide, she goes, we gave 100 different hook ideas, and she starts looking at this hook. She goes, "Well, I went through that. I could talk about that. That's a good hook that I could talk about. Oh, I've got a story about this one." And so that's the thing is like we always have stories that we don't realize are stories. Sometimes you just need that mental brain teaser that will allow you to like, oh, yeah, I should talk about that. That would be valuable for someone to hear, right?
And definitely, even some of those topics that you can think about, then they can break down into smaller ones. So
100%.
so you can keep going. So yes, I don't think I always tell people, give me 20 minutes and I'll just off the cuff give you 30 posts that you can write just by
100%.
talking to you. So it's
100%.
definitely I think people just use AI. It's there. It's free. So use
Mhm.
ChatGPT to say, this is what I do. Tell me some
Yep.
ideas of what I can post. I do that.
Yeah.
I do that. I constantly do that. Or I ask it to search in the web or to look at things that are happening in the world right now. How does it relate to real estate that I can write a post on this or write an article on it? So
Yeah.
there's lots of other things.
Lots of tools out there. So another freebie. Now you only get so many searches. I think it's per week on it, but answerthepublic.com. Answerthepublic.com. Literally, it will pull you. You just type in a topic. So it could be investing in Vancouver, and it will pull up all of the Google searches around that topic that people are actually typing in, and it'll do it in this wheel where it says, "What should I invest in real estate in Vancouver? Where should I invest in Vancouver?" And it'll give you over 100 questions. That's 100 different topics that you could now talk about just using that specific prompt, because people are literally typing that into Google. Then from there, you take it to the next level and you take that prompt, put it into Chat GPT. And exactly like you said, people are searching this on Google. Write me a script or write me a prompt that can allow me to, like, think about how I'm going to talk about this and
Mhm.
find any related articles maybe that would relate to it as well. Right. So there's so much that you could
And
do that,
statistics, yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be any excuse. So I think anyone that says, I don't have anything to write about, they're just making excuses for themselves. So
Yes,
just
I agree.
either just give up, I don't
Yeah.
bother, or, or just try it. Like I
Yes.
always tell that story, getting back to Brandon, my son, is that when he looks back at his first YouTube video, he goes, oh, mom, it was so cringy. Right? And it was like so cringy. He didn't know how to edit properly. He sounded robotic. His personality that you see today wasn't there, but he just kept trying and trying and trying and improving. So, and he wouldn't be where he is today if he didn't start somewhere and just keep it.
Yeah, that is exactly it, because the best thing that I ever heard, and it was someone had mentioned it on my podcast a while ago, is never compare your beginning to somebody's middle, right? And for the example you just showed with Brandon, yeah, his content was super cringy. I mean, I remember his early content too. He was more stiff, he was more robotic, he wasn't as fluid with his conversation. Go and check my content out on YouTube, right? We're talking like 8, 9 years ago when I posted my first video. And I am sitting at the camera going, so today I'm going to an event called Keyspire in Niagara Falls. Like, I didn't have that camera presence, but I turned the camera on and I posted, right? And as I mentioned from the very beginning, you're going to build the skill, because yeah, your first ones are going to be super cringy. And here's the funny part about it too, because I've been doing it for a while. I remember when I first started doing content on Snapchat first, I had everyone in my office be like, here's Mr. Snapchat, right? Because it was the new thing. And people were like, oh, it's so cringy. You got to stop. Like, people criticize, but I didn't do it because I knew my mentor was building a big following as a social media coach. And he kept saying, just get through it. Then I posted my first YouTube video and people go, oh, Cameron, I don't think you should do that. That was bad. Right. And I'm like, I know, like, I get it. Like, I'm not a YouTuber, but I'm building the skills. And fast forward even a year into doing it, those same people, when all of a sudden everyone's doing it, they're going, Cameron, how do you do that on YouTube? And same thing, TikTok came out, right? 2020, I'm doing some cringy TikToks because I didn't know what to do on TikTok. So I'm trying to do some dances or whatever,
Yeah,
because that's
everybody
what
was
everyone
doing
was
the
doing.
dances like
Right. And I thought that's what you had to do. And everyone's like, oh, Cameron, here you go again. I go, okay, but you said that about Instagram when I was doing Instagram. Now you're begging me for Instagram tips. I said, I think you should look at TikTok. Now what's happening? Every real estate agent, every investor, every mortgage broker is trying to create content on TikTok. And the content evolved, right? And you get into your rhythm. And so that's the thing, is like, no matter what people are going to say, it is going to be cringy. And then people are going to make fun of you for it. Who cares? Keep going. Look what happened with Brandon. Like, prime example.
Yeah. But even, with children, even negative attention is attention for them. Well, I think it's same with social media. People watching it, telling you were that great. They're watching it, right?
Absolutely. And the best ones are the ones who watch it and don't even tell you, right? Because you're going to be like, oh, I didn't get a lot of engagement. And then you go to an event and people say, hey, I watched that TikTok.
There's so many lurkers out there.
Yeah,
Exactly what you just said about going to an event. We do these posts and I won't get much in engagement. And I'll think, oh, I'm not like people aren't reading this. And, they're not getting the value I'm trying to get out there. And then I go to an event and I have all these people go, oh, Debbie, I really wanted to talk to you. I see you on social media all the time. I see this. And I'm like, but I don't know you. You've never engaged with me.
exactly.
But I feel like a celebrity, a mini brand.
Well, and you are,
People are not me.
you are a celebrity in a way. Like the term that I love to call it is you're a micro influencer. We might not be at like Brandon level, million plus followers or whatever, but we are a micro influencer within our community, right? And we are influencing, whether it's influencing 3 people or it's influencing 1 million, the impact is the same, right? You are still impacting somebody. And for sure, like a lot of people will watch your content and not engage.
There's
They
so
learn.
many lurkers.
Or, I just know people who just never like anything, but they'll watch it all. And so yeah, you'll go to somewhere and people are like, "Hey, I saw that video. I had a question about what you were talking about." And you're like, "Oh, okay. I got like, yeah, okay, I got 200 views on it. And I only got 1 like. I thought the 1 like was the one person who was going to convert, but it was one of the 200 views who didn't." Right?
Exactly.
I
No.
think that's an important point that I want to bring up as well is people get so enamored by if they post something and it only got 200 views. And we have to think about that for a second. If you were to go to an event and speak to 200 people, how big is that room? Right? If we start to visualize it,
Or
that's
literally
a
meet and speak to someone.
yeah, or the
Yeah.
time it takes to speak to
Yeah.
200 people. Absolutely. And then you post one video, you spent, let's say 25, 30 minutes shooting it. It's a minute long because you screwed up so many times because you're new at it. And then you're like, you got frustrated with your edits and you spent an hour on this 1 minute video and it got 200 people who've seen it. 100. Quantify that into the actual work that it would have taken you to actually go speak in front of 200, or what you said, hit
I mean,
200 people
yeah.
individually. Like, I think we all get so bogged down with the idea that we have to have viral videos every time. And it's some of my lowest performing videos that have converted at the highest level financially for me. A good prime example of it, and this is on the realtor side, right? So, I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, I'm a real estate agent as well. I did a video where I walked through a pre-construction development and I overlaid just some audio talking about some of the features of the development. And I think it was like 210 views, and it stopped. 6 months later, 6 months, not even within that day I posted it, I got a comment on that video. And the comment was, how do I get access to developments like this? Because every time I go, they're sold out. Now, obviously, this was like peak market time. And I said, well, our team, we work with a lot of investors and we have a lot of early access to new developments. So why don't we set a time to jump on a Zoom call and we can talk about how we can get you into one of these? Through the conversation, we found out that they didn't actually want to buy a pre-construction property. It's just that they thought that was their only option to get into the market because the market was, we all remember, there was multiple offers. It was hard to get into something. Over the course of building that relationship over about a month and the market slowly changing, we ended up having another conversation, changed the entire plan from buying a pre-construction condo to we helped mom sell her townhouse, the daughter and like, the son and the daughter-in-law and the mom all went in and bought a house together. And then she referred me her sister who bought the pre-sale. A 200 view video led to 3 transactions on the realtor side. The same thing could be said for an investor who makes a video who lands up raising $500,000 in capital, right?
Definitely. And the other thing is that we're not trying to be influencers
No,
and we don't want 1 million people
no,
because 1 million people aren't our ideal audience. So if you're getting 200 and 200 is your people, then that's amazing.
100%.
Right. So
Yeah,
don't be worried about, oh, I have to have X amount and be so caught up on the likes, as you said, and the
yeah,
comments and the views, because think about the fact that if you are speaking about a topic that is specific to what you do, how you think, then the people that are watching it are your ideal clients,
yeah.
not
You'll find your tribe.
everybody else. Yes.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
who you want to be speaking to.
Yeah, you'll build your community in like yeah, again, you might get to 1,000 subscribers, but only maybe 100 of them are engaging properly. Because sometimes people will give you a sub. right? And, because one video they liked, but then they don't engage ever again. And that's fine. Cool. It's the 100 engaged followers that you really want to create that content and focus on, right? Because those are your people. Those are the ones who are going to continue to support you. They're going to support your content. They're going to engage with it. And eventually, some of them will convert. It's a numbers game at the end of the day. But I want to maybe kind of throw this out there. And I heard this recently from a creator, and they said, they were starting a new journey on a new social media goal with short form content. And he said, my goal was not to count views, not to count subs, was to count uploads. So count uploads. How many uploads are you doing? Don't count anything else. Focus on the uploads. Everything else will come over time. And from his perspective, he grew his channel so he's on post 500 and something now. He's been doing a daily post as his challenge has been daily. And he went from, no views to a little bit of views. And within 30 days, he had one hit 1 million views because he was counting posts, making sure he kept posting and
Consistency.
engaging.
Yeah, being consistent.
Now he's got over 2 billion views in a little over a year and a half.
Because once you do hit that one that gets a lot of attention, now you got all this other content that people are going, I like this. Let's see what else he or she has to offer.
Not
Your
only
other
that,
content will-
not only that, what you just said too will help you with more content creation, because once you have that video that does slap, as the kids would say, now you've got something that you can analyze and replicate. So
Yeah.
that way it's not always a one-off, right? And I guarantee, again, going back to Brandon, he started to recognize which pieces of content that he was creating were doing well, and he replicated that formula, right? And that's why he could then consistently guarantee a certain amount of views or what have you. And so, yeah, it's a matter of one will go, you'll gain some views, you'll gain some followers. Hopefully they come back and engage more. But two, now you know what's working for you. Really deeply look into that piece of content. Figure out, was it your hook? Was it the value? Was it the topic you talked about? Why did this video work well? Look into your analytics. How long did you hold that retention for? Was it something in your pacing that you did differently, right? Really, really analyze it, and then come and make a formula out of it and repeat it. And then from there, that consistency then becomes key.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing about posting regularly is your Google search. When I first, before real estate, I had a LinkedIn profile, I had a Facebook that I just, used for family. And my LinkedIn was only if I thought of it as a job, a CV repository.
Yeah.
Only if I was still going to look for a job did I go and update it, which is wrong.
Yeah, or you update it like a resume when you're
Yeah, LinkedIn is a social media platform with
Yeah, it is.
But that was what I did. And when I Googled my name, couldn't find me, or I would find my family and friends Facebook, but later. But there's, Debbie Balfour is not a unique name. So there's lots in the world. So there was lots. Now when I Google myself, it's me. Because I've got because it's me, because I keep putting content on. So it's my LinkedIn profile, my Facebook profile, my Instagram, my podcasts, where I've been interviewed by other people. I've been writing articles for a news platform, a business news platform. So that's on it. So it really pushes your name search and for SEO up there. And that's what builds your credibility. That's when people go, oh, this person knows what they're talking about. They're all over because that's what someone will do. They'll Google you after they meet you at an event.
Yep.
And do you have something there for people to see, or are you invisible?
Yeah. And not only that, that's obviously a easy way that you can build SEO, right? But more importantly, now as we continue that conversation with AI going forward into the future, EO is going to be even more important going forward. And that's generative engine optimization, right? So how often, if we start thinking as consumers, and that's what we have to think about sometimes, like, what are we doing when we're looking things up? What would someone else do? And nowadays, like, I don't even Google half the time. Like, I'll just open ChatGPT and ask it, because I want just that concrete, quick answer. I don't want to look at like 6 different links and try to figure out which one's going to have the proper info. And so because of that, more and more people are going to start asking ChatGPT, hey, who should I use for this? I've got $500,000 in my bank account right now. I'm looking to invest. How should I invest it? Where should I invest it? Who should I invest it with? And if you created enough content, you're going to rank. And I want to like kind of jump on the topic also of think about this. Who owns YouTube?
Google.
Google, right? Google. Which one of the platforms is one of the biggest AI platforms right now, right? ChatGPT is one, and then Google Gemini,
Google Gemini. Yep.
right? And so when you start making content on, let's say, YouTube, a lot of video content, everything's getting transcribed now. Like if you go to YouTube right now, you can actually like click a button to transcribe a video
I
now.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So now you think about that, that transcription is now creating data that Google can then use for its AI. And when it's recommending, if you have a lot of content and thought leadership out there, Google's going to look at you saying, man, this person's created a ton of content on this topic. I should probably rank them higher in the search around that topic. Right.
Mhm.
So that's how we start thinking longer term. Like this is no longer just social media from the perspective of, I just want my friends and family to see it. This is now allowing you to build a business through search, which is incredible. I think it's one of the neatest things that we're going into in the world today.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's like we started saying, social media, like it or not, is where we're at in order
Yeah.
to build credibility, in order to do marketing. Marketing is no longer done in TV ads. Marketing is no longer done in newspapers. Marketing is done on social media. And we all need to market ourselves if we have any business, not just as real estate investors, but any business.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, that's the key thing too, is that it's also free, right?
Yes.
If you were to go and put an ad in a newspaper, you're going to pay a newspaper company to put that ad in there. If you want to make a commercial, you better have $1 million in the bank to pay to get a commercial on TV right now. You turning your phone on, talking at it with no editing, no nothing, and posting it, and it's still having the chance to get 1 million views. Guess what? It's free. It's organic. And if we take advantage of that, I mean, obviously, a lot of platforms are moving towards paid, right? If you want more views, pay for it, all this stuff. But still, it's still free. And we're not talking about those millions of views. We're talking about that core group. And this goes back into the conversation that we had at the beginning about day trading attention and
Mhm.
how social media has changed over the years. What it used to be back before TikTok was it was social, right? That social aspect. Someone had to be following you in order to see your content, i.e., Facebook back in the day. Your friends would see you posting, I just had steak for dinner, right? Or whatever it was, right? And people would like, oh, good job on the steak, or they'd take a picture and post their food. But it was mostly the people who actually friended you, right? That saw it. Same
Yeah.
thing with Instagram. Now, every once in a while, you could grow because your friends, if you had a really funny piece of content, your friends would share it to their friends would share it to their friends. And that's how you would have a viral post that would go. And so suddenly you gain followers because now people are like, oh, this guy's funny. I'm going to follow him too. I want to see more of his stuff. But when TikTok came out, it changed the game in 2020 because it was no longer social based, it was interest based. This is what Gary Vee is calling the TikTokification of social media. Now it's algorithmic and it's saying people who engage with a certain type of content, if you make content in that fashion, whether it's education, wealth building, whatever, people who've already been engaging with that content have a chance to see your content without you knowing them. And that's the power of social media right now.
Mhm.
You don't have to have 1,000 followers. You could have 0 followers, post one video today, and suddenly and you convert from it, right?
Mhm.
That's the incredible part. And again, the key word, my second favorite F word is free. And the first favorite one we won't say here, but it's situation based.
So, Cameron, I have two favorite platforms that, as a real estate investor,
Mhm.
that I think that I find that works for me. What are
Yeah.
your favorite platforms that you find that works for you? Well,
So
speak as a realtor one, and then as an investor the other,
totally, absolutely.
because it's a different audience.
Two different audiences, two different hats. As a realtor, I'm a big fan right now of YouTube
Mhm.
and Instagram. Those are my two bigger platforms I'm focusing on. The biggest reason for YouTube is that generative engine optimization, right? The fact that Google owns Gemini, Google owns YouTube. And if we want to start ranking higher, if someone says, who's the best realtor that I should be using in Port Coquitlam, I want to show up on those searches through ChatGPT or Gemini because I've created enough content for me to be ranked. Obviously, there's a few other things that we're doing on the back end as well to help rank, which is like through our website and reviews and everything else like that. Instagram, because a lot of people are looking at Instagram right now. Now, TikTok is probably my TikTok and Instagram are like really close, to be honest. I do a lot
Mm.
on like I did a video on TikTok recently, and sometimes I'll post across all three, and it got over 82,000 views right now on TikTok, and it had the developer of the project call me because it got sent to him. And at first I was like, is he going to ask me to take it down? Because, I'm like talking about his
Did I
project.
say
He goes,
something wrong? Yeah.
I was like, oh, 'cause I even put him in the video to talk about him building it. And he calls, oh my God, that was an incredible video. So besides me seeing your face in the video, I wanted to see more of my face. He goes, that was an incredible video. I've got another property that maybe I'll call you to do some video content for. I was like, okay, yeah. So I would say Instagram and TikTok are very close. I think both of them have some things that I really like. I do find that the community building is easier on Instagram than TikTok in a way, but just from being a realtor. Then from an investor, I think that the two that you should be focusing on as an investor would be Facebook and LinkedIn.
Okay,
YouTube,
those
I
are
would
my
still say
two
is very
favorites.
incredible, but
I
from a
agree.
thought leadership, one, people are like you're probably going to be raising capital first from your friends and family, right? So they need to see that you're active out there and you're creating content and educating. The second is LinkedIn because that's where professionals live. And you're going to be, potentially raising capital from maybe doctors or lawyers or people who have capital to invest, but don't know what to do with their money, right? They're high income earners, but they're not wealthy necessarily that way. So I think those are my two that I would recommend if you're focusing on creating content for investors.
I totally agree. I didn't want to influence what you said. Definitely, because Facebook's got the communities. So LinkedIn, the communities didn't take off in LinkedIn.
Mhm. That's correct.
But Facebook has all of the real estate investing communities. And
Yeah,
since COVID, that exploded, right? So
absolutely.
when people could no longer meet in person, they started meeting online, they started meeting in Facebook groups. That exploded. So that's where you know that real estate investors are. But then, as you said, LinkedIn is where their professionals, their money, their career people, they have the money to invest, but they
Correct.
don't have the time and they don't have the interest.
Yeah.
The Facebook, they're already investor mind
Yeah.
centric people.
Yeah, and
They
you
just got
raise a really
money.
good point about the communities, like Facebook groups. Like if you can become a contributor into those Facebook groups, now it's not going to help you from an algorithm standpoint because those groups a lot of times are closed off. But if you can join a group with 5,000 people in it and you start adding value, not sales, you're not selling, you're adding value to it, the sales will naturally come because they're going to see your face regularly popping up in those groups. You're adding value to the investors, especially the ones who are learning, right? They want to get that education, but they're the ones who will probably engage with you. But the people who have capital who are lurking, as Debbie would say in those groups, they're going to watch all the thought leadership you put into those groups and they're going to reach out to you privately, whether it's a Facebook DM or they'll get your phone number or email or whatever. So, yeah, absolutely. Facebook groups, 100% is where you should be playing as a thought leader in investing.
Because you know that those are your people. They're your
Yep.
tribe. So you go
Yep.
into groups where it's the topic you want, it's the
Yep.
niche that you want, and then you contribute. But you can also move them because you can find them in the Facebook groups and then friend them and move them into a private conversation.
Absolutely.
And that's the whole thing. We don't want to just show up on social media. Social media is just to get their attention. You
Correct.
take them off social media and then make those relationships offline.
100%. And that's the key thing that I think a lot of people do miss is that it's not while we're counting the uploads, you are doing it for a reason. And you want to make sure that that reason is to connect with people, right?
Mhm.
So, you have to, it's no different. Like I think about Facebook groups like this. When I got started investing in real estate, we didn't have Facebook groups. Like Facebook had groups, like that was a thing back then, but nobody really did them. And so you would join as many meetup groups as you could to go network every single month. right? I mean, we've been running the Investors Performance Group for almost 14 years now, right? Like every single month. And even though that's starting to wane, we are seeing the attendance going down in a lot of these meetups. That's because the attention has shifted, right? We go back to day trading attention. Where is the attention? If we used to go to an event that had 200 investors, let's say it was the REAG or RAIN or whatever locally here, or it's my own that I would host, that would have 60, 70 people, whatever. Now, suddenly you go to those events and there's 15, 20 people. That's still good to really get those one-on-one conversations. But now you can look at a Facebook group that has people across Canada with 5,000 members. Like, go where the attention is. And yeah, Facebook groups is an incredible way as an investor to do that.
Yeah, definitely. So,
But still go to live events though. I'm
yeah.
gonna throw that out there. I still love my live events. And when I go to an event, I love meeting people in person
Well,
because you really connect then.
it's the combination of those. So doing one without the other, you're missing out. If you're going to
100%.
live events, but you don't have a social media, an online presence, and people, you lose them because they go on social media and they go like, well, I don't know this person.
They go hand in
So
hand.
how can I trust this person? The
Yeah,
same thing if you're on social media, but you're not connecting in person, then you can't build that relationship. And when I say in
that's
person,
correct.
there could be across the country. So it might be a Zoom call or something like
Yeah.
that. But take them. It needs both. It needs
Yeah,
it's
they absolutely go hand in hand.
yeah.
It is a circle. And I mean, that's a thing too. Like I talk about this with realtors as well. The amount of times that I'll meet somebody who wants to buy or sell a property before I actually have the meeting with them, and it's going to be the same when you're raising capital. Before you sit down with them, they have already made the decision to invest with you or buy or sell with you because they've Googled you and they like what you have to see. All they're doing in this meeting is verifying you are who you say you are online, right? That's where the authenticity comes into play, right? Making sure that you are who you are when people see you online and offline. I had a big conversation on my podcast about this. Like, don't present one thing online and then when someone meets you at a mall, you're someone else, right? Your presence is both online and offline regardless. And then from there, you sit down with them. The final thing they're going to check is, do the numbers make sense? That's all it is.
Yes.
Is the person exactly who I saw online and do the numbers make sense? That's all they want to know. And if both of those check out, they're ready to invest. They've made the decision to invest before you met with them. It's way different than when we met back in the day because you would have to call them up, say, I've got a deal. Let's go for coffee. They're trying to get to know you at that meeting and they're reviewing the numbers and then they're going to go home and think about it. So you
Mhm.
have a higher chance of conversion now at the first initial meeting because you've done all that legwork up front online.
Yeah, and they can Google you, they can find everything about you ahead of time. And
Yeah.
you can be answering a lot of their questions already by your
Yeah.
content. And that's
Well,
what
and
people
that
think about, like when their content. What if frequently asked
absolutely.
questions?
Just as you're doing a presentation, think about all the questions. Honestly, I would recommend record, don't post it necessarily if the other person doesn't want to, but ask if you're okay to record so you can review their questions back later and sure if you can like answer anything. But use those questions as a guide to come up with content. What did these investors ask me? Okay, this. Okay, now I've got 4 pieces of content just based on questions from that meeting that I can now answer. So in the future, if people have seen that content, I don't have to answer those questions either. It makes your conversion a lot higher as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. I love this world. I really love this world. That's why I coach in it. But
Me too.
yeah, we're both passionate about it. I think we could talk forever about this particular
Absolutely.
topic. So thank you so much, Cam. So just
Of
to
course.
recap some of the things that you've talked to you've mentioned is that social media does not have to be scary. You start where you're at and you
Yeah.
improve as you go. You do need to have online content. You do need start if you're scared of video, then start with written. But video is best. It gets
Yeah.
the most. And like, Cam says, like at first you don't like it. It's cringy and it's like, but I just like
Post it anyway.
I'm just like, I don't even bother looking at it. I'm just like, I did it.
Yeah.
And then, but you get more comfortable as time goes on. Become more and
Absolutely.
more yourself. And so do that. We mentioned simplest way to start showing up. That's what I think is just go for it and try
Go
it
for it.
out.
Yeah.
And that what kinds of content conversation actually builds that trust. It could be any. It could be the real estate related. It could be your journey. We mentioned like documenting your journey. It could be giving value, like teaching
Yeah.
something. This is what I learned from this. Or as you mentioned, it could be just you having a day where I need to complain to somebody. But people relate to that.
Nobody's here with me. I need to complain about this. I'm going to post it.
It's really funny because I actually made the most offline connections with one complaining post, and it was just like a quick. It's a. I'm sitting here. I'm supposed to be working my corporate job, and I all I keep thinking about is real estate, and I just don't want. I don't want. How do you motivate yourself to stay in your corporate job and keep working when you just want to be doing real estate? And
Yeah.
so many people didn't. They didn't comment. They actually privately messaged me to say,
Yeah.
"Debbie, I feel the same. Let's connect and talk about it." It was just to share our experience and how we're feeling. So many people privately DM'd me, and that's what you want.
Well, think about the old saying, right? Misery loves
Nice
company.
company.
So sometimes when you're like, you got company out there that can relate to you. And again, it just gets more eyeballs out to you. And yeah, you never know where that's going to connect with people. One of the strategies I'm doing a lot more is live streaming. And, because I find that gives me an outlook to practice my video skills, first of all, because now you are live, right? I know you've done a lot of Facebook
Yeah, I
lives
do
as
every
well.
Thursday. I do
Yeah.
transformational
So
Thursdays.
that is one hell of a way to build skills on on social and on video, because you are live, you don't get to cut and redo, right? And but two, you can get into some deeper conversations if you've built up an audience. So one of the ones I've been doing is TikTok lives. It's new to me. And with TikTok, I can put like a little banner that says like ask me real estate questions. And I have everything from investment questions to buying and selling real estate to, interest rates to what's going on in the market. And, at first it started with two or three people. And then it was like I'd see them lurking, same thing. And I felt like I was talking to myself, but I was just trying to get the momentum.
Mhm.
And then it got to the point where my best live stream on TikTok had nearly, I think it was like 230 people or
Oh,
something like that.
wow.
And the questions were coming in so fast, I'd have to like stop and scroll back to answer them. And I've set an appointment now with somebody who wants to purchase a property in Langley because of the questions I answered for them, right? So there's so many avenues that you can go when it comes to video content. So pick one, just one,
Yeah. Get
and
good at
start.
it. It's just
And
like
then you
real
can
estate
layer in.
investing. Pick one strategy and get good at it. It's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same.
yeah.
Yeah, pick one
Totally.
platform, your favorite platform, and just get good.
Yeah, you're not gonna buy, rent, and hold 1 month, and then you're gonna flip another month, and then you're gonna sign a contract the next month. You're gonna pick a strategy, you're gonna become a master, and then you'll layer in when you see good deals into those other ones. It's no different than with social media.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Cam. Thank you so much for
Yeah, I
your
love it.
time. I really appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy. We always love having you here. We have great conversations and you're so
Yeah.
passionate about what you do and that exudes in who you are, how you portray yourself and what you say. So thank you.
I really appreciate you having me back here, Debbie. And it's always a pleasure to be able to try to do what I can to impact your community as well, because obviously we're all in this together as investors. We can all do what we can to support each other. So I want to give a big shout out to Debbie for those of you guys who are watching. And if you've made it this far in the podcast, she's doing incredible things on social and building community out there. So I'm very honored to be able to come back on the podcast and be able to give what I can to your community. And I think what you've put together is phenomenal. So thank you so much for everything you're doing out there.
Do you
Sounds
have a
good.
freebie to give away?
I've got my entire content creator starter pack for investors ready to go. So if anyone would like to reach out to me, feel free to send me a DM or an email or whatever, and I can send you the link to that. Basically, what it's going to include in there is everything from a step-by-step guide on how to come up with ideas for posting. We've got editing tutorials, whether you're using programs like either CapCut or Descript. Those are the two platforms I use. And we've got 100 different hook ideas that you can use to generate your ideas. We got AI prompt guides, how to use AI to come up. So there's about like, I think it's like 30 something pages of content related stuff that you could build from. And then from there, if anyone would like to have a like a quick 15-minute audit of whichever social media platform that you would like to get going, whether we audit your bio, how you're set up, to some of the content you've already put out to give you better ideas, there'll be in that package a QR code that you can book a 15-minute social media audit with me as well.
That's amazing. So this is a big package. This could
Yes.
cost a lot of money elsewhere. So do take
Mhm.
Cam up on the offer, and it will really help you get started on that.
Absolutely.
Uh, if you enjoy this episode, please hit that like button and subscribe so that you get notifications whenever the next podcast is dropped. Debbie and Cam out. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.